Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I've done a couple videos now on New York's push to try and find ways to criminalize 3D printed guns. First, the state's Democrats put out a plan to try and ban 3D printers in general if they could be accessed by or might ever be in the presence of a minor. The language was so vague and overreaching that it would have effectively banned computers from all homes and businesses where minors might be present, even schools and libraries. So obviously, that one got nixed. The next plan was to require an FBI background check in order to buy a 3D printer. I'm not sure on the status of that one, but based on the fact that I haven't heard so much as even a whisper of an update, I'm assuming that that one's KO'd too. So now, despite a big old court decision that said 3D printed files are protected under the First Amendment, New York is aiming to criminalize sharing any 3D printed files for any gun part. But before I get into the details of this new bill and the potential punishments, this video is brought to you with the help of Blackout Coffee Company. Blackout has been supporting this channel for a long time now and has been supporting your rights for even longer. They have great, smooth coffee, tea, and hot chocolate, have added instant coffee to their lineup, and have dedicated partner roasts that raise money for GOA, FPC, and even the Second Amendment Foundation, which has been doing some fantastic work. So, to get a cup of coffee that you can be proud of and help support the channel, go to blackoutcoffee.com/LibertyDoll, and as a bonus, you can use code LibertyDoll for a one-time 20% discount. Now, as I said earlier, computer files have been ruled as protected speech under the First Amendment, and this includes plans for 3D printed firearms. Even if it didn't in the long run, gun control doesn't have a real hope of sticking around so long as people are willing to keep developing, improving, and sharing 3D printed files. So not only is this bill a Second Amendment issue, it is a First Amendment issue. But I mean, let's be real here. There are certain files that are already illegal to own, and anyone owning them should be tossed into the wood chipper, if you know what I mean. And yet there is somehow no shortage of wood chipper humans and the content that they consume. So unfortunately, how much would this bill really do? Nevertheless, here we have New York with Senate Bill S227A and its Assembly version A1777, relating to the regulation of three-dimensional printed firearms. It is a revised version of an old, dead bill because these people just don't learn. The bill claims to be a ban on making or distributing 3D printed gun files, but really all it does is tack on a misdemeanor to the already Class D New York felony of manufacturing a gun without being a licensed gunsmith. It folds the use of the 3D printer for making guns, silencers, or parts into the felony charge and creates a separate misdemeanor for distributing the files. From the bill, the so-called justification: ghost guns, unregistered, untraceable firearms, and firearm components continue to be a major threat to the safety of New Yorkers even after the Hosea Webster Untraceable Firearms Act banned the sale of such guns in our state in 2021. Nearly half of all untraceable firearms recovered by New York in 2022 were ghost guns, and the New York Police Department reports a 75% increase in the seizure of ghost guns between 2021 and 2022. This is a growing trend. Whereas in 2022, 365 ghost guns were seized by the NYPD, that number was just 17 in 2018. This bill would include the manufacture of ghost guns, unfinished gun parts, silencers, magazines, and other firearm components in the existing Class D felony of manufacture of a machine gun or assault weapon, and clarify that that crime includes the manufacture of such items using a three-dimensional printer. It would criminalize the intentional sale, distribution, or disposal of digital instructions that may be used to program a three-dimensional printer to produce such weapons. This will ensure that New York's existing prohibition on the manufacture of ghost guns is comprehensive, precise, and responsive to the technology perpetrators may use to commit that crime. Now, a couple of notes here. Note that this includes also the disposal of plans. So say that you print something out and even decide not to distribute those plans. You just, delete them and put them in the recycling bin. Technically speaking, under this bill, that would be a crime. Now, also, I'd like to point out that the numbers that they toss out here are often misleading. 365 ghost guns does not exclusively mean 365 3D printed guns. It could even mean ones with the serial number scratched off, which has been a thing ever since serials were first required. That's nothing new. But when this is lumped in under the umbrella of scary ghost guns, especially in a bill like this, it lends the impression that 3D printed guns are a huge crime epidemic when they're really not. Well, okay, let me amend that statement here. They're a victimless crime epidemic if you are a gun control tyrant that believes that everyday law-abiding citizens should not have access to firearms. The more that you restrict legal access, the more people will look to illegal access. But still, these firearms are rarely ever used in crime, and this bill, while utterly unenforceable, would have zero effect on violent crime. If someone is already doing bad things with untraceable guns, they could not give a single flying donut about using a 3D printer to do it, and the misdemeanor charge it would bring with it. And I might even be shocked if more than a handful of them have 3D printers to begin with. Let's also not forget that research published by the actual US military links the 3D gun community to so-called far-right extremism, and that definitely is an accusation that plays a part here. Terrorism researchers in Canada have done the same. New York Assembly members have likened printing 3D printed firearms to an act of war. A company in France even tried to release fake files to disrupt the sharing of actual gun files because, terrorism. There are software companies that, as I have covered before, are trying to create software that would literally alert the police if anything gun-shaped or remotely gun part-shaped came across your printer. But so far, these efforts have been pretty unsuccessful and will continue to be unsuccessful so long as governments attempt to tighten the leash. As I always say, it is basic economics, ladies and gentlemen. Where there is a demand, the market will provide. That is it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you are new here, ring that notification bell and drop a comment down below. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there, even in New York, and happy shooting.